This video was made possible by EA Game Changers. Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld again, and today we're going to take a look at some of the new archetypes in Battlefield 5. And basically, if you don't already know what these are all about, pretty much they're going to be like sub-kits for the four main classes, which we're going to be able to unlock and then customize. There's still a lot we don't know about them, but now the closed alpha is out, we are starting to get a better understanding of how the system is going to work. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at all of the archetypes in the alpha, and most importantly, how they're going to perform in-game. So to kick off, the first archetype I want to take a look at is the Engineer, which is actually a kit for the support class now, and not its own class like it was in BF4. And the reason I want to take a look at this one first is basically because it's pretty much a bog standard support class in that it's got access to the LMGs, the ammo pouch, and the AT mines. The big difference though is that, as you can see in the top right corner, in BF5 there's now stats for agility, suppression resistance, and blast reduction. And if there's one thing we do know about the support class, it's that with all of that heavy gear, you should be less mobile than the other classes, meaning either those stats are wrong, or you've got to read them backwards. Now, just to hammer that last point home, if we take a look at the other support archetype, the Machine Gunner, you can see from the stats that they're even less mobile, which I can definitely vouch for in-game because, as you can see, they've also got access to the medium machine guns, which are big and heavy and make you run really slow. As you can also see, they've got access to the ammo crate, which is much better than the ammo pouch when you set up in a static position. And not just that, I should mention they've also got access to the flare gun, which is interesting because the next archetype we're going to talk about has it as well, and usually gadgets are locked to one kit or the other. So speaking of the flare gun, well, the class you'd normally associate with it is obviously the Scout class, or as you can see on screen now, the Sniper archetype, which also, on the other hand, you'd think should be a little bit more mobile than the support class, which, as you can see from the stats on screen now, does look to be the case. Obviously, they've got access to the sniper rifles, and as you can also see, one of my favourite gadgets of all time, the spawn beacon, which kind of makes me wonder if they're going to include some kind of aggressive recon archetype with the beacon as well, and maybe the SMGs and some kind of explosives. Now, as for a kit that you definitely do want to be mobile with, well, the first thing that comes to mind is the Assault kit, and as you can see on screen now, the default Assault archetype is the Grenadier. And like I said, as you can see from the stats, it does look like they're going to be a little bit faster, which makes sense as they've got access to the CQB weapons like the SMGs and the Assault rifles. What is interesting though is that if you take a look at the gadgets, you'll notice they've also got access to the light AT weapons like sticky bombs and the Panzerfaust. But in saying that, there's no mention of weapons like the bazooka or the Panzerschreck, which are considerably more powerful than the Panzerfaust, and you'd think might even get tossed over to a dedicated heavy AT archetype. But finally, that brings us to the last archetype we saw in the closed alpha, the Field Surgeon, which looks like a pretty vanilla medic from BF1. And as you can see, it does look like they've got access to the semi-auto rifles and smoke grenades, just like you'd expect them to. And as you can see, they've also got a little bit more suppression resistance. One thing that is worth mentioning though is that sure, they've got access to the med pouch and crate obviously, but it's interesting the syringe is specifically listed in the available gadgets. Which makes me wonder, considering Buddy Revive is a thing now, if we're ever going to see a medic archetype that doesn't have the syringe, and whether or not that'd be a good thing for the game. So anyway guys, that just about wraps up this quick video, but one last thing, I just want to make it clear that this is still just an alpha, and none of these details are set in stone. And also, I should mention we didn't even touch on perks which weren't available in this build, but in saying that, hopefully you guys do now have a better understanding of how archetypes work. As always though, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description below if you want to see any more of my videos. And also don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch with me. And as always, until next time, see you later and have a good one.